going on, guys? This is Kelly from Sawyer in the Middle. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I know usually we're on adventures and things like that. Today I'm going to do a quick review of this auger that I bought from Home Depot. I had a big project to do. We put up a split rail fence in our backyard. We also did a tree house for my daughter. So we had a big job. I needed an auger to dig some holes. Let's see how this thing did. So when we got started with this project, we had an auger, an older one my father-in-law had. He was helping me out, and we got it out of the truck, and I poured gas in it, and sure enough, the gas tank was cracked, and it was leaking gas everywhere. So I said, okay, let's go. Let's start digging the holes by hand. We have post hole diggers. I had me and my two teenage sons doing it, and we got into a few of those holes, and I was like, all right, we got to go buy an auger. This is going to take forever, because I believe we had about around 40 holes to dig, somewhere between 2 and 2.5 feet. We were digging them deep. We ran into lots of problems, so we definitely needed some help. So we go to Home Depot, and we look for basically anything. I didn't care. I just wanted help. So we found this Powermate 2-cycle 43cc engine auger. It was, I think, on sale for $250. It may be usually like $270, something like that. So it wasn't bad expensive, but what I did like about it was it came with the bit with it. The actual, a lot of these augers are just the auger themselves, and you don't get the bit with it. So it did come with that, which was nice, so I didn't have to buy it separate. So just like with all my other power tools, I typically just run the True Fuel, mix. It's already ready, non-ethanol, so it's safe. It's a little bit more expensive than mixing it yourself, but that's what I use. It's just easy. I guess I'm lazy, but it worked great with this. All right, let's take a look at some of the features of this auger. Like I said, it comes with a 43cc 2-cycle engine. The fuel tank holds about 28 ounces of fuel. Like I said, I used the True Fuel. It's a 2-cycle oil type. It also, just so you know, this thing weighs 22 pounds, just the auger itself. You add in the 8-inch bit, and that's an extra 13 pounds. So that's 35 pounds total weight. It does feel a little heavier than that when you're holding it. But 35 pounds is not too bad. I don't know if you guys have ever tried one of those 2-man augers. They're a lot larger, a lot heavier for sure. Okay, looking over the engine here, you have the recoil start here. Over here, you have the on-off switch. Above it is the throttle. Over here, you have the gas tank. You have the choke here. Here's a shot of the spark plug here. Okay, so here's the air filter here. We'll just take off this cover. See how it looks in there. So the bit does come with this coil here to absorb some of the shock, and there definitely is some shock when you are digging your holes. So this does come in handy here. So putting the bit onto the actual auger is not too bad. You have this hole here. You just line it up with the bit hole and slide it on. It does come apart. When you buy it, it is apart, so you will have to assemble this. You take this bolt and you run it through here, and then attach this. And it's really easy. You just need a 9/16 socket here and tighten that up, and it's easy. So let's talk about the pros and cons of this particular auger. So the pros, in my opinion, the price, first of all, I thought it'd be more than $250. I've never bought an auger before. This is my first time, but I didn't think that was too bad. Another pro would be that it came with the bit, because most of the ones I was looking at did not come with that. You would have to buy that separate. And I want to say they were around $75, something like that. I guess you can get them cheaper, you can get them more, depending on what type you want. But that was a pro, that it came with that all in one box. Another pro would be the starting of this machine. It was not hard to start at all. I mean, you know, you'd take 4 or 5 pulls, something like that. Not too bad. Put the fuel in it, prime it like 6 times the first time, and you know, pull 4 or 5 times. It would crank up. After, once you got it cranked up, the rest of the day it would crank usually on the 2nd or 3rd pull. So the starting was great on it. Instructions say to prime it 6 times before starting. 1, Another pro would be the durability of it. It was really durable, nothing broke on it, no pieces came off, anything like that. Looks like it's put together pretty well. I guess you could tear it up if you went crazy with it, but for our job, it stayed intact fairly well. Another pro would be the weight of the machine. I think it's around 35 pounds total weight with the bit on it. That wasn't terribly too bad, so we could move it around the yard to get to from fence hole to fence hole. It didn't take 2 men. You could just, one guy could carry it from hole to hole. So the weight was a pro. All right, let's get to the cons now. The biggest con I have with this auger, and what I would warn you about before you would buy it, is to make sure that you look at your soil and what you will be digging in before you make this purchase. This will not cut through any sort of rocks, roots, anything like that. So if you have that, just watch out, because it won't do it. Another con is when you get stuck, like when you hit something down in a hole, this bit will get stuck in the hole and it's really hard to get out sometimes. So just remember that you almost have to like just keep spinning it and pull back to get it up out of the hole, because sometimes it would really get stuck down there deep. You know, when you're getting around 2 feet, somewhere like that, you really have to muscle it back out. So it is a lot of work sometimes when it hits something and gets stuck to get the bit back out. If you have just nice soft soil, oh, this thing's going to be great. It's going to go right through it and you're going to have no problems and you'll be done with your job in no time. But if your yard's like my backyard, my front yard would be easy because it's all cleared out, nice, fescue grass, all that. My backyard is a wooded lot. So there's lots of trees, there's lots of roots, there's lots of rocks under the ground. This thing was terrible with that stuff. You'd be digging and all of a sudden, if it hits one of those roots, it's gonna stop. It's not gonna go, and when it stops, it's gonna turn that handle that you're holding, and I don't care how strong you are, you're gonna have a tough time holding that. At one point, it did turn the handle into my leg really hard. It hit my leg really hard. Took my breath, I had to stop, take a break. I got a big bruise on my leg. So it's not the safest thing. You definitely want to be pretty strong handling this. If you are elderly or anything like that, not a very strong person, I would not recommend trying this. You need to be fairly decent size. I'm 220 pounds. I'm a pretty big guy. I'm not huge, but I'm a big guy. Fairly strong, not Mr. Olympia or anything, but fairly strong. And this thing was kicking my butt. I'm telling you, it's rough. If you, like I said, if you have nice soil, it'll dig right through it, no problem. If you had a nice cleared out lawn, all that, if you're doing like me, you're doing a wooded lot and you're fencing in a wooded lot, you're gonna have lots of tree roots, things like that. It won't cut through them, it'll stop. And the handle will turn back on you. Also, watch out for rocks. Like, we didn't realize that we had so many rocks, like big rocks down in our, 2 feet down, we were hitting them and stuff. So we ended up doing a ton of digging in this project with post hole diggers and shovels and big metal rods to break up the rocks and the roots. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be with the auger. I thought I could get the auger, it would just knock out the holes real quick. That was not the case. We did have to do a lot of digging, a lot of manual labor. Now let's talk about just overall what we give this. If I, as a review, honest review, I would probably give this about a 6 out of 10. And the reason I do that is it wasn't crazy expensive, so I didn't expect the world. I did expect it to get through some of the smaller roots and things like that. It was not powerful enough to really burn through those. I was disappointed in how fast it would stop if it hit any type of resistance. If it's not just clean, pure soil, it was kicking back at me. So I was disappointed in that. So we did actually a lot more post-hole digging than I thought we would after I bought the auger. Maybe it's just my backyard, it's rougher than most. So overall, I think a 6 is a fair score. I guess you get what you pay for. But if you have a nice, like, cleaned out lot or something that you're working on, I think this will work really well for you. My recommendation would just be check your land and stuff and see how many rocks are back there, how many roots, like what kind of trees you're going to be around, things like that you need to consider before buying this auger. We thank you so much for joining us on Sawyer in the Middle for this review. We will see you on the next video. Have a good one.